Well, a record number of female CEOs took charge of the Fortune 500 last year, but women still actually represent just about 2.5% of all Fortune 500 CEOs. And another female drops off the list when eBay CEO Meg Whitman resigns next month. Despite increasing progress made in the boardroom, why is it that women are still fighting to make as much as their male counterparts? For that, we want to ask Naomi Wolf, renowned social activist and author of The End of America, Carrie, Lukas from the Independent Women's Forum and author of The Politically Incorrect Guide to Women, Sex, and Feminism, and today's contributor, Stephen Moore. What I want to share with all of you is a study that really stunned me. It's from the American Association of University Women, and it says that 1 year out of school, women with the same educational background going into the exact same jobs as men are earning just 89% as much as their male counterparts. And 10 years out, that gap gets even bigger, with women earning just 69% as much as their male counterparts. And it factors out women who take time off for children or women who move to a flex time schedule. Naomi, it's amazing, number one, that we're talking about this day and age. It seems like a problem that should have been 20, 30 years ago. But I want to ask you, why is this?
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, we've been having this conversation for as long as I've been an adult, and the numbers just don't move. There are three major reasons. Number one, the United States is at the bottom of industrialized nations in terms of having any kind of work-family national policy. So women all over Northern Europe, women in Canada take 6 months off to have a baby, and they get 60 to 90% of their income guaranteed. And then their husbands or partners can take 6 months off. So they're not facing the hit that we're told is a lifestyle choice. The second reason is that underpaying women is a built-in benefit to businesses. Businesses consciously or unconsciously make use of it. Women don't finally have a lobby, and the Chamber of Commerce does. So presidential candidates know that they need to satisfy the business lobby, but there's not a mom's lobby. And the good news is that there is finally something called Moms Rising, run by Joan Blades, who co-founded Move On, which is starting to mobilize moms in the millions, and they're making headway in places like Washington State. But the last reason is that women have low self-esteem and they don't negotiate. Well, the same women moving into a job that you mentioned with their male counterparts, the guys will negotiate and the women will just be good girls and be grateful for what they're given, and that adds up.
That is a very interesting point, but I want to get to Carrie and ask her, do you really think it comes down to businesses consciously making the decision, oh, I can hire a woman because she's going to cost me less?
No, I think we need to be really careful. And if you look a little deeper in that study that you mentioned by the American Association of University Women, there's actually there's much more good news in it than you're suggesting. If you look at the wage gap, they said that 10-year wage gap, three-quarters of it was explained by women's choices. It was explained by the fact that even full-time working women work about an hour less a week than full-time working men. Women do gravitate towards different careers. Why do we do this? Well, some women are more interested in personal fulfillment and having more time with their families, while men seem to focus on making money. It's important to have this conversation, and certainly discrimination can play a role, but we need to make women understand that if money is their #1 concern, that they can make as much money as men, but they just have to make different choices.
Can I get in here and defend males for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we got you there, Stephen. You're our token guy.
I love to be on with all these beautiful women. But and by the way, I don't think men have a very effective lobby in Washington either. But let me say this. I've been looking at the statistics over the last 40 years from the Census Bureau on male versus female earnings. And the real story here, I don't care what the American Association of University Women study shows. I mean, that's one of the most left-wing groups in the country. The story here is that over the last 40 years, wages for women have gone up much faster than for men. The one demographic group for whom wages have gone up fastest over the last 40 years has been black women. Black women wages have gone up dramatically faster than that for black males. So I see that these gaps that Naomi was talking about are declining over time. They're not rising.
Naomi, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I am. I mean, respectfully, you're just misreading the statistics. That's one subcategory. It's true, but that's because of the diminution of the industrial base, which were the only main source of high-paying jobs for many African American men, and it's also true that African American women are moving ahead in educational categories, higher education, but that's a subcategory that doesn't budge the numbers that the AAUW and many other organizations are confirming. Now, to your point, or to Carrie's point rather, about lifestyle choices, you know, this is a frame or a kind of discourse that the Chamber of Commerce, the business lobby, wants us to internalize as American women. It's our choice. If we, oh gosh, I want to take care of my family and have a job. Oh gosh, I can't do everything with no support. There's no flex time. There's no family leave to speak of. So it's a lifestyle choice. But that's like, you know, in Europe, women don't face this nonsense about it's our choice if we want to take care of our families, just like we don't face this nonsense.
But you can't, you know, I think it's
just
unfair.
A second, let me just finish. That it's our choice to have health care.
Yeah, but you know, Naomi, let me just say one thing on this. I've been looking at, you know, you talk about the European model. The rate of unemployment of European women is like twice as high as it is for American women. Women do much better in the American model because they're not unemployed.
Absolutely,
but
it's important. It's important to recognize that there are differences. Women do make choices when it comes to how much time they want to spend with their family, as do men. There's a lot of women who work full time, don't have kids, and dedicate 14 hours a day to their jobs. Of course, they're going to be compensated more than a woman like myself who has 2 little kids at home and isn't working all day long.
You know, we got to wrap it up here. We're running out of time, but I just want to share with you an anecdote. A woman that I spoke to out in California who had been working at the University of California at Berkeley, and she was there on the medical teaching staff, and she was actually making about a third of what her male counterparts were making. She sued the university and she won nearly $3 million. So it is happening to some extent, but I hear all your points of view. I appreciate everyone for joining us so much. Naomi, Carrie, thank you. Stephen, you're going to stick around.
Up next, making money in REITs. A 5-star fund manager says 2 of them are your best trades now. He's
going to unveil his picks only on The Call. You're watching CNBC, first in business worldwide.
The ADR update is presented by the Bank of New York Mellon. Who's helping you? The ADR update is presented by the Bank of New York Mellon. Who's helping you?
You want your daughter to spend your fortune, making the world a better place. Your pension board wants a report in the morning. Financial markets changed overnight. You're a leading fund distributor in Japan. You want a new global fund to attract new investors. It takes great expertise to succeed in the world's financial markets. Who's helping you?
Going over and over? It's not just you. Stopping and starting? Going urgently? You're not alone. Lots of guys experience male urinary symptoms due to BPH, also known as an enlarged prostate. But for many guys, prescription Flomax may relieve urinary symptoms due to BPH in 1 week. And who doesn't want to spend less time in the bathroom? Only your doctor can tell if you have BPH, not prostate cancer. Common side effects of Flomax are runny nose, dizziness, and decrease in semen. Upon standing, a sudden drop in blood pressure may occur, rarely resulting in fainting. So when starting Flomax, avoid situations where injury could result. If considering cataract surgery, tell your eye surgeon you've taken Flomax. Do what millions of guys have already done. Ask your doctor about Flomax and call 877-4FLOMAX for a free 1-week trial. Why wait? Join the crowd. Flomax could make a difference in 1 week.
Ever wanted to look over the shoulder of a seasoned stock trader? Well, here's your chance.
I'm running Strategy Desk from TD Ameritrade to set up a trading strategy based on how I think the market's trending. Right now, I'm looking at a 20/80 stochastic cross. Now, I could be running multiple strategies, my own tweak or some combination, but for now, this is good.
Introducing Strategy Desk, the latest innovation for traders from TD Ameritrade. It's designed specifically for traders.
With Strategy Desk, I can compare the 20/80 with other strategies and back test them all. Multiple strategies, multiple stocks over time. And I can look at that at the symbol level or have it charted out for me more visually. And I'm not trading on emotion. A buy here, a sell here. There you go. I just hit a buy point and Strategy Desk fired off the trade.
Once you trade with it, you won't want to trade without it. TD Ameritrade. Independence is the spirit that drives America's most successful investors.
Trade commission-free for 30 days. Plus, get $100 cash when you open an account.
Tomorrow, it's the battle of mean versus evil.
Your children hate you. They're embarrassed by you.
You're a disgusting little tramp. The Celebrity Apprentice. CNBC tomorrow.
Well, the stock market moving down across the board this morning. What are your best trades now? Our next guest puts his money in real estate investment trusts. He's a five-star portfolio manager whose fund was down almost 7% last year, but still outperforming Morgan Stanley's REIT index and up almost 13% on a 3-year return. Steve Burton is the portfolio manager for ING Global Real Estate Fund. Steve, first of all, I mean, is this a good time to get into a real estate fund?
Yeah, let me provide some context. The real estate stocks have really come under pressure as of late. Here in the U.S., they're down about a third off their highs of about a year ago. We believe the sell-off has been way overdone and assumes a prolonged recession, which may or may not happen. If you look at the stocks, they're attractive on several bases. One is on a yield basis, average dividend yield.
No, keep going.
Yeah, average dividend yield globally is north of 4% right now. In the U.S., north of 5%. On a real estate basis, we think the stocks are trading at about a 20% discount to what the real estate's actually worth if you broke it up and sold it off in the market. So the property stocks are attractive at this point.
Okay, well, your first pick is it Ventas?
Yeah, Ventas Inc. is a healthcare REIT here in the U.S. You know, although almost half the fund is invested in the Asia-Pacific region, we find the U.S. to be increasingly attractive. Ventas owns senior living facilities, both independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing facilities. The key insight here is that the ultimate demand drivers of the cash flow are not related to the economic cycle. They're related to demographics and the need for health care. This company has successfully repositioned itself over the past 18 months to be more dependent on private pay. 80% of the leases are on a net lease basis, growing at 2 to 3% a year.
Okay.
Company reported yesterday, beat by a penny, increased the dividend by 8%. Dividends now about in the 5% range. As we look at cash flow per share, 07 to 08, it's in the 6 to 7% range. We believe the total return prospects of Ventas to be very attractive.
Okay, Steve, we're out of time. We just want to say that your other pick, though, is Federal Realty. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Trish?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Bye.
Okay, I just want to make a quick correction in terms of what I was saying earlier with the pay gap story. It was actually UCLA, not UC Berkeley, that made that $3 million award to Janet Connie after she sued them for sexual discrimination. I should know that. I used to live in San Francisco. Anyway, Power Lunch coming up at the top of the hour, and Bill Griffith is gearing up to tell us what is on that menu. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Trish. Coming up, we've got a better sense of what's in Warren Buffett's portfolio these days, and stocks are reacting. The question is, should you be investing in the companies that Warren Buffett's investing in? What do you think? We'll talk about that coming up. Also, the toy fairs in New York City. Talk to the CEO of Mattel about some of the challenges facing that company, not the least of which all the recalls of the toys made in China. What do they do about that in the future? And we'll get you ready for next week. Have a stock trader, bond trader, and an energy trader tell you what they think will be happening next week when we get to that part as well. Sue and I will see you at the top of the hour, Melissa.
All right, thanks, Bill. Well, if you think you have to spend a lot of money to launch your own website, think again.
Up next, David Pogue has a tech call for entrepreneurs and those of you who might be thinking about, well, starting your own business. Keep it right here. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Lockbox Rewind.
Not many polls have as much heft as the Business Council survey. And if you're wondering whether or not they're calling for a recession, they're stopping just short of that.
CNBC has learned that Citigroup CEO Vikram Pandit has set a May deadline for this review of all the firm's businesses.